All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I am back with another video. All right, y'all knew this video was coming. Shout out to Marcus Bell for sending me the link to this interview that James Lynch did with the beast, the real beast, Manon Fiorot. Shout out to James Lynch also, man. This was a pretty good interview. It was like 14 minute interview that he did with Manon. Asked her a lot of good questions. You know, a lot of the things that we talk about in my live streams, you know, matching Manon up and just giving her thoughts on different fighters. You know, of course, she talked about her upcoming fight with Caitlin Chikagan, Valentina, Tyler, Aaron, Molly McCann, everybody, Casey O'Neill. But the one name that came up, and of course, y'all know I'm going to talk about in this video, is Macy Barber. And of course, when he asked what were her thoughts on Macy Barber, right away I saw like a little smile on Manon Fiorot's face, and I already knew from that smile, even without reading that title, you were like, I know what she's probably going to say here. This ain't no clickbait title. So when she gave her thoughts on Macy Barber, she said that when she was a rookie in the UFC, basically starting out when they were looking for her second fight, I guess her team was trying to get a fight with Macy Barber. And she said that Macy's team, not Macy specifically, but Macy's team, when that fight was offered or, that fight was put on the table, Macy's team turned that fight down. So they said they turned that down. They turned that fight down right away. And at the end of that part of the interview, I think the translator, in like last couple of sentences, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he said Manon was saying that if Macy Barber couldn't take Manon in the second fight, then she knew she could take her now. Like Manon knew she could take. If she knew she could take her then, she knows she could take her now. I guess with her turning down that fight, knowing she wasn't ready for it. That's my understanding with that last sentence. But the point is, Macy's team and Macy, they did turn down a fight with Manon Fiorot. So once again, that's another one we add to the list that turned down the fight with the beast, the real beast, right? And I just kind of want to get my thoughts on that. Like I'm saying, I'm not going to stretch any of the words that Manon said because some of it I wasn't really too sure about, like I said, those last couple of sentences. But I just want to get my thoughts on them turning it down and answer that question, as far as what I think. Did Macy Barber's team, and Macy Barber included, turn down this fight? Well, I'll answer both of them separately. Did Macy Barber's team turn down the fight? I think they did, for sure. I think they did turn down a fight with Manon Fiorot because much like a lot of the fighters in the division that don't mention Manon Fiorot or just sidetrack that fight or, just look the other way, they're thinking high risk, low reward. They're thinking high risk, low reward, especially for somebody like Macy Barber in that stage of her career, around this time last year or earlier 2021. You got to remember, at that time, Macy Barber had just lost to Alexa Grasso. Around the time Manon Fiorot was looking for her second fight, like around the summertime, right? Macy Barber just lost to Alexa Grasso, right? So her team is thinking, Manon Fiorot, the beast, that fight's on the table for her. Well, we better not take that fight because you think about it. She just lost to Alexa Grasso, got outboxed, outstruck, outworked on the ground as well against Alexa Grasso. So imagine them putting her in there with Manon Fiorot, a much bigger, stronger striker that could also go to the ground and outwork Macy Barber possibly, right? So do you think their team would really want to risk that with her coming off that unanimous decision loss where she was just technically schooled again, even on the feet, by somebody like Alexa Grasso? So, yeah, I could definitely see them turning down that fight because, yeah, they were thinking high risk, low reward. They're looking for somebody that could get them into the top 15. And that's what a team does for you. That's what a team does, whether, fans like it or not. And I'm not saying I like it. I'm not defending here, but I'm just saying this is how they do, Well, in a way, I am kind of defending because this is how teams do, especially for young fighters that really can't think for themselves sometimes or don't make smart decisions. That's what a team does. They help build a fighter's confidence back, So if you coming off a loss to Grasso, putting her in there with somebody like Manon right away wouldn't be a good idea. They got to help you build your confidence back and not put you at risk with someone they know you're not ready for. Because, again, even though Grasso was higher ranked than Manon at the time, Manon was levels above in strength and speed and athleticism, and as far as carrying that dominant bone over Grasso. So imagine how that fight would have went. right? So they didn't want to put her in there with something she's not ready for. And that's what teams do. Teams are going to look out for the things a fighter isn't seeing. They keep them from taking too big a risk at a time, and they want to help them improve slowly. It's just like the trainer. The trainer is seeing the things that they're doing in the cage or in the ring, the things that the fighter doesn't even know that they're doing wrong at the time. They're there to tell them to say, no, we can't do this right now. So the team, they probably saw, okay, Manon Fiorot wants a second fight with Macy Barber. Coming off that loss to Alexa Grasso, well, Manon brings this, and she brings a lot more of this than what Grasso brings in height, size, strength, and all of that. Okay, we're not going to take that fight, Macy, right? So that's what it came down to. You got to remember, like I said, Barber, around this time, or around June 2021, during the summertime, she really wasn't physically ready for this type of fight. She's definitely improved over the year, but as far as her movement, physically, I don't think she would have been ready for this fight. Skill-wise, no, she wasn't ready for this type of fight because she, like I said, she just got outstruck by Grasso. From a range, she's known for the power, but Grasso shut that power down for 2 rounds and was just outworking her. She didn't really have success to the 3rd round in that fight, right? But even in the clinch, she was getting outworked. So imagine what Manon Fiorot would do if she got them underhooks and she pressed Macy Barber to the cage like she did Jennifer Maia. Imagine how that would have went. That could have been Macy Barber's first stoppage loss, right? So they didn't want to repeat what Grasso did, or the possibility of really getting dominated, brutally knocked out by Macy Barber. Because again, Macy, she can swing now, she can club, but her head is on the line, and that's a much better target for Manon, somebody with that hand speed and that straight left hand, right? So yeah, I think that the team did turn it down for sure, and those were the reasons why they turned it down. High risk, low reward, and her coming off the Grasso loss. But Macy Barber as an individual, I think she turned it down herself too. I think she did too, because mentally she knew she wasn't ready for that fight, and she knew stylistically that, again, this is what Grasso was bringing. This was Manon is bringing something like Grasso was bringing, and that was her weakness at the time. So I think Macy Barber, she didn't want that fight either, because the fight could have happened. The fight could have happened, y'all, because let's go back to June 2021. June 2021 was Manon Fiorot's second fight. Manon Fiorot was supposed to take on Marina Moreau. Of course, Marina Moreau pulled out of that fight, didn't want that work. They didn't have anybody else. Nobody else could answer the call. So they had to bring in LFA strawweight Tabitha Ricci as a late replacement. And you saw what happened to her in that fight, right? Now, a month later, we can't say it was anything about, physically injured or, just not being ready to fight or just, taking time off, because a month later, July 2021, Macy Barber took on Miranda Maverick, right? She took on Miranda Maverick. Of course, she won a split decision, but I thought Miranda Maverick won that fight. I'm always going to say that. But, yeah, Macy Barber made her return just a month later. So if they wanted to, they could have made that fight. Even her, I think she could answer that call and say, I'll take Macy Barber. Because at the time, Miranda Maverick and Manon Fiorot were both unranked, right? They both were unranked fighters. So, the reward would have been just as sweet. But the risk, according to them on paper, was higher on one side. But you see, it almost messed up. It almost cost them there too, because Miranda Maverick won that fight, right? She won that fight in a lot of people's eyes, but they thought on paper that the risk wasn't as high, but it was there. It was there. But when you think about it, they probably said, okay, you know what? Miranda Maverick, she's a good fighter, definitely a good fighter in my opinion, but they probably were thinking, okay, this fighter's a little bit shorter. She's scrappy, she's strong. But the thing about her is she's going to be coming in to grapple. She's going to be shooting in for takedowns. She's going to be clinching us and wrestling us. So there's going to be more of a target to hit here. We don't have to reach up. You don't have to punch up to land these shots on her chin. She's going to be more eye to eye. She's a little bit shorter, right? So we can handle this style. That was probably their way of thinking as far as matchmaking. They said, okay, Miranda's going to give us more of a target to hit, which she did in the 3rd round with those spinning back elbows. But it almost cost him with that pick. So if it was a fight they picked over Manon Fiorot, in a way it was kind of a cherry pick gone wrong. But that one would have really been a cherry pick gone wrong, right? That would have blew up cherry bomb right there if it was Manon. But yeah, they wanted that fight with Miranda because they said, okay, this is a style that we can handle. We can, like I said, we can connect on her because she's going to come to us. And the size difference, it's not as big. The size difference is big. But if it was Manon, we looking at the style. Manon's going to be moving. She's going to be stabbing us with these side kicks. She's going to be controlling range. We're going to have to chase her. And again, like I said, Macy Barber's movement at the time was a little sluggish, so she's going to be a little bit more stationary. She's going to miss more. And if it goes to the ground, we might get out-handled. So the team and Macy's probably like, yeah, that fight ain't going to work. I'm coming off a loss. Let's take Miranda Maverick. Her hands aren't like grass, so let's take this fight. It's a little bit safer, which it kind of turned out to be, even though it was a split decision. The beating wasn't as bad. I thought Miranda just won the first 2 rounds, but she wasn't really like outworked and out-grappled, like beat down. You know what I mean? Like, if it was Manon, it would have been a different story, y'all. But yeah, man, that's what it is. Once again, we add another name to that list that don't want it with the beast. But, hey, that's how you grow sometimes. I mean, you have to take on these high-risk fights just to know what you really need to work on, right? You got to go in there and get it in now, and don't give that monster a chance to grow. If you get them now, boom, they're out the way. You won't have to worry about them later on down the stretch, right? But that was their choice, and it was wise on Macy Barber's part, because now she has time to grow, and she can slowly grow now and maybe take on a fight with Andrea Lee, which is a fight I think she could definitely win that. But like I said, with Manon, mentally, the type of fighter she is compared to somebody like Andrea Lee, you really don't want that work at that stage, because even then, Manon, her mindset was to get into the top 15 and, go for that title. She's not just somebody that says, oh, I just want to fight the fight. Oh, I just want to fight the fight. I just like getting in the cage. No, Manon was on a mission. Manon's older than these other girls, and she's on a mission right now. She's ready to try to get it, and get it now before she's out of her prime, So she's in a different stage of her career where it can be dangerous for some of these other girls. And on the outside looking in, these matchmakers or these, fighters, their teams, that they're looking at it, right? They're looking from the sideline like, man, we got to watch out for that train. That train is moving. We can't catch this one, because this one is going to run us over. Their mission is different. Sometimes they got to look for the ones that's got a similar mission or just a little bit weaker. And that's what it is, man. It's still a business. These fighters, their teams, it's not always just about going in there and putting that heart on the line. The fighter's team, they're looking for longevity in their fighter, somebody they can make money off of for a while. So they got to prolong their health and don't put them in there with the craziest matches, right? But it was a duck. Manon got what now? Marina Moreau on that resume, Alexa Grasso on that resume, and Macy Barber, and maybe a few other names, right? Well, can we say Jessica Andrade? No, she was injured. Well, Caitlin Kagan, she pushed this fight back from September to October, so she kind of half-ducked it, right? But now she's getting it, so that's what it is, guys. Let me know what y'all think. Was it a duck? Is it a duck? Who else is ducking the beast? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.